Hey guys, I just got back from salmon fishing from Kodiak Island. It was pretty neat. Got 50 pounds of sockeye salmon in my freezer.
Wow. When's the party?
Yeah, it was nice. 8 pound fly rod.
A heavy fly rod.
Well, you need them for those sockeye.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I was up at Kodiak Island up at a lodge, and I lost my sense of taste and smell like on Wednesday, and I've been vaxxed last January, and it was a real bummer because we had some really good meals, and I couldn't taste or smell them. I have my taste and smell back now. It lasted about 10 days, but what a bummer. I missed a lot of good meals.
Indeed. Just to give you guys there's really no agenda specifically for this. It's just other than just to have Chris tell us what's going on with San Juan, which is always fun. And so, Chris, I'll let you take over and talk a little bit about what's going on. And if you guys have questions, and I'm sure he'd love to answer them for you.
Sure. Well, it's been a very different year than last year. We were closed for most of last year, so this year's been much nicer, been quite busy. We're very fortunate that unlike most of the West, we have plenty of water and plenty of cold water. I'm hearing lots of my fishing friends having issues in Montana with not being able to, they call it the hoot hour fishing, where they can only fish from sun up until about 11 or 12. There's lots of rivers in Colorado that are so warm that they're not allowed to fish them right now. So we're running right now at 800 cubic feet per second. Water's nice and clear and typical 42, 43 degrees. So had a lot of midges coming off. Fish are eating well on bunny leeches and larvae and some San Juan worms and things like that. And then of course your typical fare of small midges. It's been a great year. Lots of customers, and the fishing's been pretty good. We've had some really nice fish this year. Caught a lot of browns in the 25 to 30 inch range this year, and the triploid stocking, which started about 10 or 12 years ago. A triploid is a rainbow trout that it's stocked specifically to not be able to reproduce, and with that, it continues to grow kind of like a teenager does. So we have lots of rainbows in the 25 to 28 range at the moment. See a lot of big boys down there because the water's crystal clear. So lake's in pretty good shape. We have some pretty good water. Like I heard some of y'all talking about the drainage of the system. They're taking 4 feet out of Glen Canyon Dam. They're taking 4 feet out of Blue Mesa. They're taking 4 feet out of the one above the Green River there, Flaming Gorge. And then they're going to take 2 feet out of this one to try and put it in the Lake Powell and Havasu and Meade system, try and get some water down there. So we're all hoping for a big winter. We've had a monsoon. Just about all of New Mexico is out of any kind of drought danger. We've been having rain now for about a month and a half. So we had a pretty warm June. It's getting into the hundreds in June, looking like it was gonna be a sweltering summer, and all of a sudden the monsoon started and we've been getting rain almost every single day for July and August. So been lots of water coming into the lake and lots of water around. Everything's nice and moist and green. Bringing down lots of terrestrials. We've had a lot of ants and some cicadas and quite a few termites blowing around. So that's always good. In a wet year, you get a lot more terrestrial activity. So it's been very good fishing. So anybody has any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But as far as I had to report, everybody's been pretty happy. We've got a big crew out and we've been busy. Abe's is still closed. It doesn't appear to have much action on over there. So you come to town, make sure that you have a full tank of gas when you get here, because there's no gas station in town. And if you're gonna eat, you probably need to eat with us, since the Sportsman is open only on Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes not even those days. So we're about the only consistent thing going on in town right now, but we've been good and busy. So we made it through last year, and we're still catching fish and having a good time. So it's good. We got about the only trees in the lumber yard right now going on over here. So been good.
I saw a picture somebody posted on Facebook the other day. It looked like somebody caught a dolphin. Maybe that was a huge fish.
Oh yeah, that's.
Brown.
I think that was a kid that was holding that, John. There was a young, like a 14-year-old young man caught about a 26-inch brown with Jacob, and
Wow.
those fish are always. I mean, they always look good, but you put in a 14-year-old kid's hand, they look huge. You know, you can put the Kraken, which is about a 30-pound fish, in the guy's hands that weighs 400 pounds, and the fish doesn't look quite as big as it does when a little kid's holding it. But yeah, it was a beautiful fish. We've been about once a week seem to be catching a fish in that range. Yeah, it's been really nice. I don't particularly know why. I'm sure that there's more of them than there has been in the past. Rivers go through cycles. When I first started here 25 years ago, we caught a lot of big fish, a lot of average fish in the 20, 22-inch range. And then we average kind of seemed to be more like 14 or 15. There's still always a lot of fish around, but we're definitely going through a big fish cycle now. We're seeing lots of fish. I mean, I think as far as we can tell, there's probably 5 or 6 fish in Texas Hole right now that are over 30 inches.
Wow.
So, and there's one that none of us have caught yet, but we've been seeing in Death Row.
Is Chris breaking up with the rest of you guys?
No.
I'm losing the audio about half the time.
It's got to be your computer then. I think everybody else is fine.
Must be, I got an old computer.
Yeah, yours is breaking up coming this way, Bill.
He's pros now.
Yeah. So there's one that right in the very top of Death Row. This year's been very, very clear. You can see down about 30 feet. And I had a customer catch a 25-inch rainbow, probably about a month and a half now. And it was swimming around down below the boat, and I was watching it, and this brown that I've seen down there quite a few times come swimming up next to it. And I'm not even kidding you. It was looking at that 25-inch rainbow like it might be able to eat it.
Wow.
Wow.
It was probably in the 40-pound range. It was a monster brown trout. I might need a bigger net for that one.
I came in late. I came in late to the meeting. Where are you talking about?
We're speaking of the San Juan River in northern New Mexico, just south of Durango.
Okay. Okay.
So Chris, as far as conditions, and we got, I think these are kind of some of the sweet months, you know, September, October, and November. Can you talk a little bit about the conditions this time of year?
Sure. Nice thing about this time of year is it's just consistency. That's the reason that it's such a popular time of year. Weather's almost always gorgeous. We don't get much wind. We don't get much rain. Temperatures are usually in the 70s or 80s, quite nice. So it's just about perfect conditions for the humans to fish in. It's always good for the fish all year long, but the fall is very, very nice for us to fish in. Often a lot of midges. If we can start getting some cloudy days, starting in probably in October, we'll start seeing some nice mayfly hatches starting to come back again. The blue-wing olives come off in both the spring and the fall. So as soon as we start getting some cloud cover, we start seeing some mayflies in the afternoons as well. For whatever reason, I like to think I have an answer for just about everything that has to do with fishing, but I have no idea why the midges seem to cluster fall more than any other time of the year. So most of the year, we always have massive midge hatches throughout the entire day, but they seem to stay fairly singular. The fish keying on the emergers or the singular adults. And for whatever reason in the fall, they start to cluster. I don't know if it's the colder weather. I have no idea if it's different species of midge hatches that time of year or what, but we seem to see bigger midges. And if you get really strong hatches on a cloudy day and stuff, I've seen midge clusters as large as golf balls. So it can get nice that time of year for dry fly fishing. But as far as weather goes, another thing that happens in the fall, that a lot of us as river fishermen don't take into account is the activities on the lake. So our water comes from the lake. We get very little food from the lake, but what we do get from the lakes are smells. So there's lots of fish in the fall, brown trout and kokanee salmon in particular, that get in massive clusters, and all of that smell of spawn and spawning fish and eggs does go through the dam, comes out into the river, and seems to make the larger fish very active towards egg patterns and stuff. We don't really have many eggs in the river until probably December from the actual browns that are spawning in the river, but we get a lot of fish that will turn onto them earlier, and that often has a lot to do with smells and stuff coming from the water in the lake. So, and then we have, once the salmon start to die, much like Sal was talking about earlier with the going up and catching sockeye salmon, a sockeye salmon is the same thing as a kokanee salmon, just a kokanee is landlocked. It does not make it to the ocean, and they can stock them in rivers. Right. They don't get big. A large kokanee is probably about 20 to 24 inches long. Looks like a nice trout, but they're the same fish, and they do have them in the lake above our river. And those fish tend to spawn in the fall, and those smells come through the river. So there's a lot of things that go into making the river fish well that time of year. Like I said, big midge hatches, sometimes mayflies, lots of scent coming from the lake for promoting egg patterns. Once the salmon start to die, some of their flesh comes through the river. We'll even have dead salmon sometimes get sucked right through the tubes into the river. So there's flesh flies that'll work early in the morning. I think there's just a typical phototropic responses to the sun decreasing its angle. So fish start to kind of think that winter's coming and they better load up on some food. So we get some increased activity from that probably as well. But it's just all in general a good time of year to fish.
You still
it's nice because it's good right into the late fall. So
you're still doing the lower section at all?
As long as we can have flows that are 500 CFS or higher, we're going down there. We have been doing it quite a bit this summer. The problem is when we start having monsoons, there's lots of washes that come in. So we get nice clear water coming from the dam. But then once you get a little bit further down, a couple of miles down, you hit Simone Canyon. There's a few other washes that come in if it rains really hard, but it will start to make the river turbid. It starts to tend to send it off color and put sand and clay into the river. And the further down you go, the more of that happens. There's just more washes coming through the canyons all the way down the river. So the lower river is a bit suspect when we're getting lots of monsoons because it can be to the point where it looks like a glacial river in Alaska where you can barely see the paddles in the water. We can do really well with like squirmy worms and big egg patterns and things like that, streamers and stuff, but it needs to clear up a little bit. So we haven't had a rain here for a few days. So we'll probably have a few guys start to do it in the next couple, but we do have a 75% chance of thunder showers tomorrow. So we knock it back again for a few days. So it's great feeding for the fish. They put lots of food in the river. It's really very healthy for the browns and things that live down there, but it makes it difficult for the angler. So we are still running it, but we have had some difficulties because of so much water. So, in the West, we always have problems with water, right? It's either too much or too little. So fortunately with the tailwater, we're usually fishing. It's usually clear and cool. So.
How much lead time do you need for reservations for dinner?
As long as we know by 9:30 in the morning that you want to eat that night, you're perfectly fine. If you're staying with us, we can still make burgers for you for that evening. But we do ask folks, that most folks are eating our all-inclusive packages, and then we have it set up for you every night anyway. But if you're staying with us and do not have a meal package, we are open for breakfast normally. And then if you want to eat with us at night, you simply just need to let us know that you're going to be eating with us at 7 o'clock, and we will ask you what you prefer. We have a special every night. That's very good. And then we also have our normal fare. So.
Thank you.
Where, because of the lack of people in town and staffing issues and, the ineptitudes of a restaurant in general, we ceased and desisted normal operations of restaurants for the dinner. We do not do lunches anymore, and dinners now are pretty much, most folks are just doing all-inclusive just so that their dinners are, but we still have folks that are used to coming into town and maybe eating at Abe's one night and the Sportsman's one night and with us one night. That is no longer possible since the other restaurants are no longer open. So most folks are just booking the all-inclusive packages, and that way your food is all taken care of. So.
I asked because 4 of us are coming in on Labor Day, but we have an Airbnb or a BN, whatever it is. And
VRBO probably, yeah.
yeah, that's what I need.
Mhm.
And we'll probably eat at your place a couple of times, but I mean, I've checked out. I know
Great,
it's
great.
closed and so on.
Sure. Yeah. Just give us a call. So you don't even have to come in. Just give us a ring and let us know that you got 4 people coming for dinner, and we'd be happy to serve you.
Chris, you mentioned that you were south of Durango. What town are you in?
We are right in the middle of Navajo Dam. It's not really a town. It's just kind of part of the county of San Juan. It's just a little community that was developed when they were building the dam. Very, very small little area. But it's right at the base of the state park that is the famous section of the San Juan River, the quality water section. So it's Navajo Dam, New Mexico. We're about 45 minutes south of Durango and about a half hour north of Farmington. So we're kind of in between the two.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
John, this is Jim Walker. If you need the good testimonials, just talk to John, Doss, and I.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay?
Yeah,
We've had a lot of good fishing trips together, haven't we, Jim?
Yeah.
we definitely
I
have.
have a quick question for you. Last year, obviously, the river was kind of closed to non-residents. So the question becomes this year, is it kind of elbow to elbow, standing room only with everyone coming into the San Juan River now?
You know, it's been one of the least crowded years I've ever seen.
Really?
Probably for several reasons. One, almost nobody are booking groups. Everything's kind of staying in little groups of 1, 2, 4s and stuff like that. Not a lot of group activities going on. As you can see, we're all meeting on Zoom instead of in a room together. But also, you think about the fact that Abe's is closed. That is 60 rooms that used to have anglers in them every single night. And there's none of those being rented now. So unless they're driving down from Durango or in or something, there's a lot less people on the river. There's still, the boat traffic seems to be about the same, which is always tolerable because, well, most of us know how to get away from it. But as far as the foot traffic, it's been much lower than normal. I mean, all you really have is me in the camping areas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we got 15 guys here. If you guys want to do a group, you give me a call. We'll put one together.
No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
There may be
How
a problem
many
with
do you take
15
in your
guys at
group?
this point for September and October. We're pretty busy.
What's the normal number you take in your group, Chris?
We usually try to start at 12 and work our way up. I've done groups as big as 30 to 32 before.
Okay.
But usually it's right around 12 to 18 or 20.
And you're walking the river or you're boating it?
Most of the guides are boating. We do wade trips. There's several problems with wade trips. First of all, the river's very slippery, so there's prone for injuries. But the biggest problem is as Jim just alluded to, is you can have issues with other anglers. So if you walk 20 minutes to a hole to go fishing and there's 4 people in there already, you have to walk to the next hole. And if people chase you to it, next thing you know, you're dealing with other people. So the nice thing about the boat is you can fish deeper water. You can easily row away from folks. We can get out of the boat and wade if we have anglers that want to do wading. We can go down the river, we can go back up the river. We just have a lot more mobility. Plus, you got a nice place to sit and a cooler full of water and lunch right there too. The boat makes access a lot easier for sure.
Yeah. So if you get a couple of anglers coming in from California, then you can combine them up with others? Or do you have to have a whole group of 12 to get started?
Oh no, you could just come by yourself. We can put a person in a room, one person in a boat, and you can go fishing all by yourself. We certainly do a lot more. As a matter of fact, this year we've done almost no groups. We've only done about 2 groups this year. It's all been one people or 2 anglers, like you and Sal coming fishing or something like that. But very, very few groups this year. So
Okay.
I would think that next year is going to be inundated with them, but that's to be seen.
Thank you.
What's fishing like near the end of September? I've got a high school reunion in Albuquerque, And I was thinking of maybe swinging around there. Does it get pretty cold up there at that time of year?
Generally, we're not seeing very many cool temperatures that time of year. It may get down into the 40s at night, but kind of warm up pretty quickly into the 60s or 70s. It's a nice time of year. It's even before the trees start to change. So we haven't really even started to hit fall by that time of year, usually by the end of September. So lots of midges that time of year. They'll usually get up into the shallow waters because the sun will start to warm up the soils in the shallower waters, and we get more midge activity. So a lot of sight fishing for fish in shallow waters along the banks or on the sandbars, and then sight fishing with shallow water nymphing rigs. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, if you guys do want to do a trip, if you decide you want to go a trip by yourself and you needed somebody to go with, if you give me a ring, there's a chance I could drum somebody up to go with you, because it's, if you go as two, it's much more much easier to, you pay a guide fee for two in the boat, so I might be able to help you out some.
Financially viable, I think would be.
Yeah, financially viable.
Economically feasible.
John
Sounds
Sikora,
good to me.
in John
Right.
Sikora, California, it's worth the drive over, believe me.
Well, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I already know
Oh, yeah.
about the Gila trout and the Apaches. So I've got to swing by and pick a time that's going to hit the Apaches and get over the San Juan.
Well, like we did before, you let John Dawson and I know, we'll help you out in that regard. Right?
That's right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your help last time too.
Yeah, it's always easy for me to convince my wife I'm working. If I gotta go work, I'm working. I gotta go to San Juan.
Yeah, I'll second what Jim said. With the exception of last year, I go up usually Labor Day week almost every year for the past. I've been going on and off since 1997.
Yeah.
It was a little tougher when I lived in Hawaii, but I still got.
Oh, Louis.
Yeah, I was just looking at my calendar, and I may have to take a trip up there in September. I'll check with one of my sons. Chris, I've had my sons Jonathan and Nicholas up there, dad sponsored trip. But yeah,
Not
if
so financially
they
viable.
can't make it, yeah. Well, John, if they can't make it, I may go ahead and contact you and get somebody to go up with me.
All right.
It'd be great. Anybody who's thinking about coming, just so you know, because we are the only town and we only have 18 rooms and 2 house rentals, we're particularly busy. There's been a lot of people kind of cruising around weeks looking for time to come fishing. It's been very busy. So if anybody wants to come, I would suggest getting together and trying to book something soon, because there's a pretty fair chance that it's going to be not a limited when you're looking to come, because we're very busy. So if you can tolerate a little bit of cold and still enjoy some great fishing once you get into November, December, January, February, it's usually very good fishing and almost nobody around. So being 7 hours away for most of you in Scottsdale and stuff, you can keep an eye on the weather. And if it looks like there's going to be a nice weekend where it's going to be sunny, in the 50s or 60s, you could do a last minute run up and experience some pretty spectacular stuff with almost nobody around. It's an amazing river because the water's always the same temperature. So I just don't really care whether it's winter or summer, or hot or cold out for us, because it's always 42, 43 degrees for them. We call it Disney World for the fish. They don't ever care what the rest of the stuff is going on. It's always perfect for them.
So it doesn't ice your line or anything. I mean, when I was a kid, I fished the Rio Grande on New Year's Day, and my line was ice.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't tell you. I'd be lying if I told you it didn't ice your line. Yeah, they got some stuff you can put on it. The nice thing about the water being over 40 degrees, though, is all we have to do is dip the rod in the water.
Yeah.
So you make a cast, you're fishing, you start to see some ice forming up. You just drop your rod tip into the water, and then pick it back up and give it a shake, and it's all gone. So, you do that anywhere else. It's like making a candle. It just keeps getting bigger. But around here, it tends to melt the ice off of
Good.
it.
Yeah, first time I ever went fishing, I went to San Juan. My wife bought it for a birthday present, and I was fishing with Chris's dad, and it was nasty weather. It was sleeting and it hurt. I mean, it was like being shot with bullets. And I came back, and his dad said, "Well, you must be a fisherman if you came back."
Yeah. After that last trip you showed up, you like it. He said to say hi, by the way, John. I was talking to him today.
Oh, good. That's why I got a message on Facebook the other day. He's a good man. Good man.
Yeah, I saw you posted his hummingbird thing on the
Yeah, that was
website there.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be breaking some laws by how many birds he's feeding. I don't know.
Chris, is that up in Colorado? Has he got that in Colorado?
Yeah, Dad's about an hour and 15 minutes north of me in Mancos, Colorado, which is
Okay.
between Cortez and Durango.
Yeah,
So
got
yeah,
it.
that's where he fishes a lot, usually on the lower Dolores River, but it's been running at like 12 FS this year, so he hasn't gotten out much over there.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for the insight.
Sure. Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Hope to see some of y'all.
Well, you'll see one of us at least.
Hey,
Well, I
Chris,
know I'll
I've got
see
a
you.
question for you.
What's
Got a
that,
question
John?
for you. Do you catch many pike minnow up there?
We have not seen any in the top 15 miles of the river. When they designed the San Juan River, they designed it as a closed ecosystem. So we have a dam that keeps anything from coming down. There's no fish that can get through the tube that the water comes through. They don't make it. And then about 15 miles downriver, there is another dam. It's called a diversion dam, but that simply pushes water into an irrigation ditch, but then goes over about a 20-foot concrete sluiceway that the fish do not come up. Below that, we can find very far below that, people have caught stripers and pike minnow and bass and regular pike and all kinds of stuff because they can swim up there from Lake Powell. It's a long swim, they can do it, but they cannot make it between those two spots. So everything in there, all we have are rainbow trout, brown trout, and then the common carp. Now, that being said, of course, it is nature. So we can run into situations where, say, an osprey grabs a fish from the lake and swimming over the river to get to his nest to feed that sunfish or bass to his young, falls out of his talons into the river, and that fish gets to live. That's the way, species propagate since the beginning of time. That's how species move around. The thing about the San Juan is because it is so cold, it only gets to 42 degrees at its warmest. The water never warms up enough for most species to have a successful spawn. Their egg make it. So even though pike, catfish, sunfish, smallmouth bass, those things can live in cold water, they cannot reproduce in that cold water. So even if we had a fully mature male and female smallmouth bass in the river, all they could do is eat. They could not reproduce and make more eaters. So no, we have a closed ecosystem. I have seen small little catfish and bass and things like that in there, but over 25 years. And from what I've been told from anybody who knows in the ecology game, they cannot successfully.
Thank you. The reason I ask is when I was in Colorado, actually Durango, quite a few years ago, doing a Yellowstone trip, I think it was their Department of Fish and Wildlife, or maybe it was their Parks and Rec. They had a picture board in the office with a huge pike minnow that was stuffed up on the wall. And I couldn't believe, I'd never seen a pike minnow that large. So I thought I'd check and see if they're down that way.
Yeah, they were competing for some of the largest freshwater fish with the sturgeon at one point in time in some of the river systems out here. But the whole damming project of the Colorado River system and everything has been very devastating on their species. It's helped out us trout fishermen, but as far as the natural world goes, it has been great for some of the warmer water fish. at the same time, if they didn't dam all those rivers, you guys wouldn't have any water down there in the desert. So it's good and it's bad.
You got some good sized carp there in the Texas in Death Row, don't you? Actually,
Oh yeah, yeah. We've hooked on some 40-pound carp down there before. They don't seem to. They're mostly filter feeders. Because we don't have a lot of large food sources. You know, a lot of carp will chase sculpin. They'll chase crayfish are a big source of food for a lot of carp, but they don't chase a lot. So they just kind of filter feed the mud. So it's very difficult for us to catch many of them in the river, but we do very well with them up at the lake. So in the summer, May, June, and July, some of the moment us fishing guides have on a day off is to go up there and we'll throw dry flies at carp and catch 20, 30-pound fish on dry flies up at the lake. It's a lot of fun.
oh,
Yeah. Your grass carp down there in those canals will eat dry flies too. I've caught them down there on dry flies.
yeah, we get
Stuff.
that's we have some good sized carp in the canals.
Absolutely.
Hey, there was a couple of women that you had come annually. One of them, I think, fished with her feet, and there was another woman from Texas A&M or something, I believe, or maybe the same lady. They coming back.
I think you're speaking of the same lady. She did make it back this year. She did miss her first year in 9 years. Her name is Marty Lauder. She was the let's see, what's the college in Texas that is at College Station?
Texas A&M.
Okay, so it is A&M. Okay, so she was the assistant dean at Texas A&M, and she was also a professor of accounting. And she was born fully abled young girl, and I think when she was about 7 or 8, she got polio, and it took away the use of her arms. She has partial use of one hand and a little bit of her forearm, but the shoulder does not function very well. And the other one is almost completely paralyzed. That being said, she drives a vehicle. She raised 2 kids. She'll pick a dime up off the floor for you with her toes. She'll untie and tie your shoe for you. She tells me she could change my diaper with her toes, but I'd never let her try that. But I did teach her how to fly fish with her feet. It really isn't really as hard as you'd think because she is so amazing herself. But there is a nice video that Orvis did on her with me one year. It's called Toe to Toe. So if you go to Vimeo or YouTube and just put in Toe to Toe Orvis, you'll get it's about a 3.5 video of me teaching, just kind of a synopsis of me teaching Marty how to fish with her feet and how good she is and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Incredible.
She's amazing.
Incredible video.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. So we do it. She has to fish with her feet. She actually puts her toes around the rod just by the first stripping guide. And then with the one hand that is a little bit functional, she'll put the butt of the rod in it. She's actually put some kind of athletic tape, more like the tape that you'd put on a tennis racket, so that it doesn't. So because she's holding the bottom of the rod right where the threads are that you put your reel on with. So as you can imagine, after 4 or 5 days of fishing, it would be between her 2 toes, quite raw, holding onto it there. So anyways, that's how she casts. And then she uses her foot on the side of the boat with the rest of the line so that when she pulls back, she can do a haul, and then she can lift her foot up and let some line slide, and then put it back down, come back forward, lift her foot up and let some line slide. So she actually has a haul, and she can get line up. I've had her catch fish on dry flies at 40 feet away. She's quite remarkable. Yeah. So I have the reel mounted basically on the leg locks, and I just pull bungee cord it to the leg locks and pull a bunch of line off, and she does everything else on her own. She'll even pull the freaking moss off of the fly. She'll grab it with one foot and then pick the moss up with the other foot and throw it in the water and then start casting. She's amazing. Anyone who ever bitches about trying to cast in a little bit of, you got nothing compared to Marty casting today.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. But she did make it out this year.
Oh, great, great. Good news.
Last year she sent during COVID, because after having polio her whole life, her immune system is compromised, so she didn't want to get polio. So she didn't pretty much leave her house for a year. But she did send out, in her replacement, she sent out her son, his wife, and 2 of her grandkids. So as soon as we started floating them around Texas Hole in the morning, I got on my cell phone, I made sure I had a full charge, and I bungee corded Marty to the leg locks on speakerphone. And she got to sit in the boat with us until my phone ran out of freaking juice. So she was on the phone for probably 2.5, 3 hours. We were fishing in the morning, and she was just like she was there, giving me a hard time. You know, we're sending her pictures on her phone of the fish that we're catching and stuff. So it was great. But she's quite a person.
Need a portable battery from Best Buy.
Right. I should have just grabbed my truck battery and put it in the boat for the day.
There you go.
And I would have had to deal with her all day long. 3.5 hours was enough. She was bitter that she couldn't be there fishing.
Well, I'll be up there on the end of September. I'm not bringing Andy with me this time. You guys humiliated me last time I was up there, so he caught all the fish. All right.
You need to bring you need to find a less skilled fishing partner then.
Yeah. All right. Here. Got you down, John.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anybody else have any questions?
I have one. Going back to the meals. Do you need to know what you want when you make your reservation?
As far as food is concerned.
As far as the food choice. I mean, I've seen.
Yes, you have to tell us what you're having. We will tell you what is on the menu for that evening. So we have a special every night, and then we have a common menu with burgers and like a Philly cheesesteak. We have chicken salad, chicken sandwich, stuff like that. So we have a common fare, but we have a special every night. But at that point in time, you have to tell us what we're having, just so we know how much chicken to thaw out for that evening. And
Sure.
we're only preparing. It's basically like cooking at home. We're only preparing for the people that we have coming in. So we want to make sure that we have just the right amount of
Gotcha.
product and appetizers and salads and stuff.
Well, Chris, I sure appreciate it. I know you're probably got to get up early and guide in the morning.
Yep, I'm heading out tomorrow for sure.
Well, we got a thunderstorm coming. That's good news.
Yeah, I can see it's coming right behind you, John.
Let's take the rice. I actually gave you more of the rice.
All right, guys. Well, if anybody comes up with a question later, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to answer any other questions later on if you come up with one that you didn't think of to ask tonight.
Chris, did you have a website or an email? I didn't see it in the email that John sent out.
We do. I'm sure John can do a follow-up. If I was
Okay,
just,
thank you.
it
Well,
might be difficult, but I'm sure John will do a follow-up and send it to everybody.
absolutely.
John Sikora, this is Jim Walker. I'm going to send you an email tonight that's got lots of information about the San Juan River and all the information you need for fishing at the fish heads. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great. Hope to see you, John.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
All right.
It's good
All
seeing
right,
you.
good night, guys.
Thank you.
Chris,
See y'all
thank you.
soon, I'm sure.
Take care.
It's been good.
Bye-bye.
Hope to see you this year.
Excellent.